look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look now and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Oh, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, right now it's time for hemp.
Thank you for taking time for Hemp. I'm your host, Casper-Leitch. You are listening to the live broadcast of Time for Hemp all around the world on Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, and, of course, iHeartRadio. I want to remind you that we are not just a little lonely old show anymore. We are now a growing broadcast network, and I like saying a growing broadcast network because we are growing in so many ways. And hold on for a minute. I got to tell my dogs, I'm live on the air. Be quiet. Thank you. And remind you that you can check out, like today, Judge James Gray's got a program at 4 o'clock. You can tune in and listen to. He's on a couple of times a month. And we got programs from Argentina on today and on Tuesdays. Every Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do programming all in Spanish for an hour. And we've got tomorrow a program all in French coming out of Paris. And we are broadcasting all around the world. I also have to apologize to the host that was on this morning, Doug McVeigh. He was supposed to do his show before mine, and because of the flu that I've been dealing with, I didn't think about it. When I went to bed last night, I just took my NyQuil and laid down, and I forgot that I was supposed to get up and run his show this morning. And because of it, Doug's show did not get broadcast this morning, so I want to apologize to his audience and to him for missing the dime. I don't usually do that. Doug was very forgiving when I spoke to him on the phone. His show airs now every Tuesday and Thursday mornings before Time for Hemp Live. Do make it a point to tune in and check it out. He's a great commentator. He's got a good guest lined up, and it's really worth getting out of bed and listening, and in my case, running the show. So with that said, it's Thursday, and every Thursday we put a spotlight on what's going on in America, sometimes at the voting booth, sometimes in Washington, D.C., sometimes what's going on politically on the state levels, but people around the world know what happens in America does have a major impact, especially in the field of war on drugs in their country. And my joint host on Thursdays, Paul Stanford. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Casper.
How's life in your slice of heaven today?
Things are good. Things are good. How about you?
Well, I'm still dealing with this, the remnants of this flu, but I'm starting to feel stronger and better. I was mad at Mother Nature. This was the first week I had any type of opportunity to go out and enjoy the weather or the opportunity to get caught up on things. And wouldn't you know, the first time I had a chance to catch my breath was full of flu, and I was too sick to do much of anything but lay around and pamper myself for the past couple of days and take medication and drink orange juice.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're feeling a little bit better. Good news is summer's just starting, so there's some more good days ahead of us.
Well, I sure plan on making the best of them, and I want to remind you that anytime you hear the word joint on the big broadcast, we hope about 2 million people or more all around the world pack their bongs, their bowls, their joints, and their vaporizers, and take time for hemp. Paul, on the program, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to meet Bret Black. I have. I don't know if he's a former member of LEAP or still a member of LEAP, but he's also running for state representative in Utah on the Libertarian ticket. Good morning, Bret.
Morning, Casper. Paul, how are you guys?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Super good.
So, tell us about your opportunities to win the election. Are you got how many candidates running against you? 1, none, 5, 20?
There's 2 running against me, a Republican and a Democrat. Utah is an interesting state. It's got about 85% to 90% Republican rule from the top down, state level, city level, everywhere. Running as a libertarian is running against the grain. And that's why I really appreciate being on your show. We need to get the word out. There's actually 12 libertarians running for different offices in Utah. I'm running for state representative in District 44. That's in the middle of Salt Lake City and covers a town called Midvale and a town called Murray. Here in Utah, we definitely live by a different set of rules or ideals, and it doesn't always equate to equality, and it doesn't equate to a realistic life for those that aren't with the predominant leadership group. And that's why we're running. That's why I'm running, is to bring a different voice and some change to this beautiful state.
Now, what are the major concerns of the voters in your state? I take it that marijuana and ending prohibition must be at least one of the topics that you do broach on your campaign.
It's one of my top issues. I want to end the war on drugs. Legalization of marijuana would be the first step. Our last session here in Utah, the legislature did legalize CBD, which is a strain of marijuana extract for seizures. It's a great step. It's a great start, but it's only applicable for a few people with a certain type of epilepsy. Where that's great for them, what about all the rest of the people that are suffering here? The full cannabis plant has many, many properties that treat and cure so many diseases and maladies, yet nobody wants to talk about it or listen to that. Here in Utah, we still seem to observe the stereotype, and reefer madness is what they believe.
Well, that's also, to me, a stark contradiction to the forward-thinking people that are there in Utah, because unless I'm under a false impression, the Utah lawmakers were considering the idea of cutting off the water supply to the NSA's data center there in the state.
There are a couple that have put that forward. I would support that as well. I'd also support taking away their garbage pickup. That's another thing that we could do. It's a shame that Utah, the history of Utah goes back with the Mormon Church, and the Mormon Church leaving back east and coming here to escape oppression. Yet here in Utah now, we're allowing the NSA to build a mega data center, and we're supporting that. It just seems strange that in 150 years we went from fighting oppression and trying to be free to supporting oppression and killing freedom.
No,
the NSA shouldn't be here.
I'm just in the midst of reading Glenn Greenwald's new book about breaking that Snowden revelations a year ago right now. They're talking about all these different programs. So their slogan is get it all. They want to get all the data on everybody's computer throughout the world, I heard this morning there's this big Cisco system network routers. Cisco's been the world's leader in network routers, but Huawei in China has been coming on strong and stealing a lot of that market. And so the revelation that the National Security Administration agency here in the United States is getting all of Cisco's products, diverting them, and installing hardware to divert all electronic signals through the NSA. Not only does it hurt Cisco's business, but it slows down the Internet for everybody. You know, they're tapping into everything, and their motto is to get all communications in the world and store them there in your neighborhood. They're in this new massive facility there in Utah for solely for storing all the world's phone calls, all the world's emails, all of our communications, and you know, they're not just storing what they call metadata, which is very intrusive. You know, they try to downplay the significance of the metadata, but if they know all the people you're calling and when you're calling them, and you know, it's and who those people are and all the people they're calling, it's very revealing about, you know, what your situation is.
They get every keystroke. They get every keystroke. They get every site you've been to, every phone call you make, every text that you make. They know everywhere that you travel. We're in a surveillance state. We're in a police state. And it's all started by the war on drugs. The war on drugs. And they were all
lying about it. The DEA is building their investigations based on this data, too. And they have information, you know, their directions to their local officers is don't reveal where this data came from. Try to hide it and make it where it doesn't come out publicly. And so they tell the DEA people to lie about where this information is coming from, you know, because it would, because they don't have a warrant for it, you know, except these, what they call FISA court warrants, which are super secret. And I guess out of like 1 million FISA court inquiries, they've only denied 100 of them, or something like 1 in 10,000. So, and then they actually allow them, they just modify them slightly. Not one has been denied, but 100 out of 1 million have been slightly modified. So
that's terrifying.
It is pretty frightening. Yeah.
You know, we have no-knock search warrants every day. We've got police that took it to heart when...
And they're turning on our cell phone. And they can turn on your cell phone and turn on the microphones and turn on the cameras and watch it whenever they want. And any of these low-level, like Edward Snowden could do that from his desk. He could turn on anybody's cell phone, and he could look in and see what they're doing and where they're at. He could look at any email they had ever written, you know, since they've been keeping these records for about 6 years, you know. It's really all-encompassing. So
when you add the Patriot Act and the NDAA to that, drones being used on American soil, where is the free America that I grew up in? It's gone. You know, Orwell's book was a warning, not a guide, but they used it as a guide. And now, you know, I mean, where are our children going to live? What kind of a country are our kids going to inherit? That bothers me all the time now.
Well, the thing is, you know, with the exponential growth of artificial intelligence, you know, right now we have fallible people that are making these decisions and things. But when we have superhuman intelligent robots out there making those decisions, all sorts of dystopian possibilities can come about, you know, if we don't make certain we expand natural individual rights, which is one of the things I like about the Libertarian Party. I would think in Utah, given that the Democratic Party is so weak and physical conservatism and has a strong base there, that the Libertarian Party would have a greater possibility of success in Utah than many places.
I hope so. You know, the Libertarian Party last election got 6% of the vote. It was enough to keep them on the ballot. It's interesting, though, anytime you talk to somebody about libertarian principles, about the concept of I do what I want and you do what you want as long as we don't hurt one another, people agree. People agree that the war on drugs is a war on American people, and people agree that it has to be stopped. But then when it comes time to vote, they go push the one Republican vote, and they've got to stop doing that. just by electing a couple of libertarians to the legislature here in Utah would have a great impact. Just having somebody there that reported back to the people what was going on. When last session they passed 356 new laws. Not one of those that's in Utah. Not one of those laws was in an effort to protect the people's rights. Every one of those laws took another right away from us or put another burden upon us. That's not the function of government from a libertarian perspective. We need less government and we need more freedom.
Right. Well, I certainly agree with that. I've been trying to implement something like that through the initiative process in Oregon. We're concentrating on our marijuana initiatives this year, but we had a couple of initiatives that we haven't been actively paying for circulation that say explicitly that people have more rights. Individuals have more rights than the collective. Individuals have more rights than government and corporations. Basically a slap in the face of the Citizens United ruling from the United States Supreme Court. That's just one of the three different individual rights initiatives that we're contemplating. We aren't going forward with them for the vote this year, but we're looking at putting them on the ballot in 2016.
That would be good. You know, these initiatives are going to pass. They're going to pass in every state in the country, and Utah has ignored all efforts to end the drug war. Actually, Utah wants to build a new prison now. They've been trying to put together support to build a $600 million prison here in Utah. It's a bed for us all, it sounds like. They recently in Salt Lake City, the biggest city here in Utah, our capital city, they built a police station. It cost $125 million. They're building a new district attorney's office. They're going to spend $50 million on it. That's in addition to 2 new courthouses that were multi-million dollar. You know, they're monuments to this injustice system. We have a country where we all know we have like 4.5% of the world's population and 25% of the world's imprisoned population. Utah is trying to do its best to go that route. Also in Utah over the last 2 years, it's astounding, over 500,000 cases have been put through the justice courts. That means that 1 in 3 of us have had some ticket or notice to appear in a justice court to pay a fine. Now, if you add all of that up, to me, that's imposing and freedom choking. I don't see how we can stand that or how the people aren't rising up. But they don't. That's why I'm running. Someone needs to bring these issues out. And they need to bring them out in the chambers where decisions are made. And I intend to do so.
Well, it sounds like you're a determined candidate, that's for sure. And that's what the voters like to see. And that might make them come out and vote for you for no other reason, just the fact that you are determined and will not give up. With that said, we are going to pay our bills here. Please go to the websites of our sponsors and let them know that you heard about them here at Time for Hemp. You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. Please share us with your friends.
THCF Medical Clinic Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org.
In need of a ganja vacation? Blaze away at Hotbox Jamaica. Chill, relax, burn all day while watching the amazing ocean view. Listen to the birds. Bathe in the mineral waters of the Ganja River. Munch on tasty Jamaican Rasta food. Take a weed farm tour and hold a meditation. Book this amazing vacation for $420. Get the Sativa Special, 7 nights in Sativa dorms with ganja meals and airport transfer. Check us out at hotboxjamaica.com. That's hotboxjamaica.com. A Haya meditation vacation.
Indigrow is your source for affordable induction grow lighting. First discovered in 1891 by Nikola Tesla, Indigrow lights deliver 11 years of electronic sunlight to your plants. Indigrow lamps require less than half the power of traditional HID lamps. Converting to Indigrow lights means you'll cut down on your power bill with less lighting. Indigrow lamps also use 5 times less mercury than traditional fluorescent or HID lamps, making Indigrow not only energy efficient but environmentally friendly as well. No more switching out lamps between vegetative and flowering stages. As nature intended, your lights get a steady dose of UV light. That makes your plants grow healthier and stronger. Indigrow products are manufactured in San Diego, California, and come with a written 10-year warranty. What Tesla knew, then growers know now, is that Indigrow lighting is the cost-effective addition to your victory garden. To learn more or order now, go to inda-grow.com. That's INDA-GRO.com. Or call 877-452-2244 to answer any of your questions. These guys really know lights. Indigrow really is your sunlight in a box.
Education and information. See what all the buzz is all about. It's time for hemp. It's time for hemp.
Everything will be just fine. Take life short, let's live for a laugh. Imagine what we can be. Releasing fear from our reality. That's why I'm telling you to smoke a little pot, drink a little wine. Everything will be just fine. Smoke a little pot, drink a little wine. Everything will be just fine. Take life by the hand. Time is short, let's live for a laugh. Imagine what we can be. Releasing fear from our reality. That's why I'm telling you to smoke a little pot, drink a little wine. Everything will be just fine. Smoke a little pot, drink a little wine. Everything will be just fine if you smoke a little pot, drink a little wine. Everything will be just fine.
You've been listening to Hannah's Groove here at Time for Hemp Live, and we want to send our love to Hannah's Groove. They're two people, husband and wife team, and they make a lot of wonderful noise on behalf of freedom, and they've dedicated their music and their path in life to ending prohibition. I would also encourage you to get as active. I understand that it is difficult to walk away from the TV set when America's Got Talent is on. I mean, golly, I too like to sit there and watch the amateur talent become professional entertainers, and it is exciting to watch dreams come true right in front of your eyes. And that's what's been happening with the marijuana movement. Oh, my God, did I say marijuana movement? The hemp movement. Oh, did I say hemp movement? The cannabis movement. Oh, did I say cannabis? The sativa movement. Oh, God, what can I call it to make everybody happy? Oh, I know. This illegal plant is now becoming a legal plant to grow in so many states. This wonderful plant, this is becoming legal to grow in like 22 states now for medical purposes in the District of Columbia. And it's also growing now for recreational uses. Oh, let me change that to social uses in 2 states. And it's also now being grown for industrial purposes. Oh, did I say industrial purposes? Let me change that for growing products purposes in a couple of states now. I think Kentucky, Indiana's allowing it, and there's a couple of other states that Paul will help me figure out when we come back from this little rant that I'm doing. But it is nice to watch the end of prohibition happen right in front of my eyes, and that to me is a dream come true. What is not a dream come true is the ongoing pissing contest within the marijuana movement. Oh, the hemp movement. Oh, the cannabis movement. Oh, what are we going to call it? Movement. At least right now, because while you're busy spinning your wheels trying to figure out what you're going to call it, who you're going to work with, people are still sitting behind bars. People are still being arrested. People are still going through the system. And I don't think they care if you call it hemp or medical marijuana. I think they realize that what you need to call it is illegal. And until you're able to call it legal, this pissing contest that's going on within the movement is doing nothing more than to slow things down, divert energy, divert attention. Stop it. Just stop it. Everybody needs to get on the same sheet, and that is end prohibition. Well, that's my rant for the morning. Thank you. I feel so much better. Paul, I will pass the questions off to you as my joint host today. Paul, are you there? Paul. Oh, maybe I upset Paul. Well, I don't know. Paul?
We lose Paul?
I don't know. Paul, are you there? Well, we'll try to figure out what happened to Paul. In the meantime, why don't you let people know what's going on in your state there on the front? I found out that from reading in the news that Utah is liable to become the 22nd state to legalize medical marijuana here soon. Is that true with HB 105?
Utah did legalize CBD, and like I say, it's a specific compound from a cannabis extract that's for treatment of a very certain type of epilepsy. And it is legal and it is going forward, which brings up new questions. If marijuana is a Schedule 1 drug, then next to Schedule 1 it says that there's no medicinal or medical value, right?
Right.
Yet if we've legalized one compound out of it now, then how can it be a Schedule 1 drug when we've agreed and legalized a compound for medicinal use, medical use? You know, we can't have some and not all.
Right.
Unfortunately, this is a step in the right direction for a very, very small amount of Utahns. Not that makes it any less important. They need their treatment. But there are literally thousands of people suffering that need their medicine, that don't want to be on the pharmaceuticals, that don't want to take pills with fillers that make you sicker than you were to begin with to make you better. You know, they use pills and pharmaceuticals to create customers, not to cure illness. And Utah has a real problem understanding that. Utah's war on drugs has raged for years, even while we know and have witnessed absolute horrific things happen at the hands of the state. Weldon Angelos is a man here from Utah. He was convicted 6 years ago for selling marijuana. He was sentenced to 55 years under minimum mandatory sentencing guidelines. He'd never hurt anyone. I've never heard of him committing any other crime. He had a wife, well, he still has a wife, and he had 2 young boys, and they're growing up without a father now. Well, he does 55 years. 55. You could rape a child. You could set off a bomb in a building. You could do some horrific act and get less time than Weldon Angelos got.
Still? In your state, still?
What's that?
I said the laws are still that back-assward in your state?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, the thing is,
you bet.
Casper, talking about federal laws. These aren't state laws that this guy's been prosecuted under. These are federal laws that apply everywhere in the United States.
Right. He was charged federally. He is in Davis County Jail because he's not a threat and doesn't need to be in any kind of maximum security situation. But he's doing 55 years unless, hopefully, President Obama and Attorney General Holder will, actually come through with what they're talking about and start dismantling this minimum mandatory death sentence that we're giving so many of our citizens. Prison's our number one industry. That's not what America's about. And then if we can't put them in prison, another story here in Utah that happened, it's been a little over a year now, in a city called West Valley, there was a young girl, 20 years old. She went to an apartment complex and she was approached by 2 undercover police detectives. They were part of what was called the Neighborhood Drug, Enforcement Division of West Valley Police. They shot this little girl. They killed her. They said the story was that they had been following her and seen her go to a known drug house and purchase drugs. And then they followed her and she pulled into an apartment complex, and they say she was attempting to use the drugs. But the story doesn't bear out. They said she was using heroin, but there was no heroin in her system. In the autopsy, there was some THC, but that could have been there for weeks. After they murdered this young girl, when they did the crime scene inventory, there was no marijuana in her car. They did find a little bit of heroin, but oddly enough, her fingerprints, her DNA, they weren't on it. It wasn't hers. And now it's been over a year. These officers were never charged with this murder. One of them's still getting paid by West Valley Police Department, and they're trying to get their jobs reinstated. This entire narcotics team was disbanded after they murdered young Danielle. 126 cases were reviewed and thrown out by the district attorney because they had broken the law in how they had been enforcing drug laws. They were stealing money, they were stealing drugs, they were abusing people. And, all of this comes to a head, and nothing is going on to change it. They took the lieutenant that was running this rogue outfit, they demoted him, but last month they put him back as a lieutenant. Because apparently murdering a young girl under your command is okay. A couple of years before that, a man up in Weber County had his door knocked on by the Weber Morgan Narcotics Strike Force at about 3 o'clock in the morning. And they were announcing themselves as police officers. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't know what I would think if you were kicking through my door and yelling. But the man came to the hallway clear across the room, and he was holding a golf club. And you can see on his face in the video, you can look this up and see it today, he was absolutely shocked and astonished by what was going on. The officer told him to drop it, and as he said drop it, he shot him 3 times. Murdered him. Now, they said that he was a meth dealer. They said that they'd been following him and knew about him for a long time. But when all the details came out, he wasn't who they were after. The person they were after didn't live in the home, and they found maybe a gram of marijuana and a container that may have held meth before. And for that, we ran a narcotics armed SWAT team through a door and murdered one of our brothers. That's a scary world in Utah. And it's going on every day. That's what needs to stop. Why would we want to kill somebody when they aren't doing anything to anybody else? It's just, it goes beyond explanation. You there?
Yeah, we're listening. We're just letting you speak without interruption.
Yeah. Going on and on and on. But, when you send your children out in the world, you're worried about what the world's going to do to them. But because of the war on drugs, and now the war on terror, our protectors are oppressors. They, and at every level it's happening. The Supreme Court's ruling against the Fourth Amendment every time they get a chance. Now, if you live in an apartment, the police can enter if you're not home without a warrant. They can just go in. The Constitution's clear. It's really not a complicated document. But, we have to argue about whether our homes are still safe from unreasonable searches. There's supposed to be a check there where you go get a warrant. Our phones now are our data centers, our personal little, I don't know, they have everything we have in them.
They're surveillance devices. The federal government can turn on your microphones and turn on cameras at any time. We have surveilled ourselves now pretty thoroughly. I mean, I've got a camera pointing, as I'm talking on this phone, a camera pointing at me and a camera pointing away from me, and a microphone in each direction.
Yep. And, cell phones, like we talked about, routers, all electronic devices are being brought in and modified so that there's an actual hardware device and firmware in there spying on us. Nothing is beyond the gaze of Big Brother now, and we need to stop that. We need to back off the NSA if it's possible, but at the same time, our civil liberties, our freedom, our equality. Equality is another big issue here in Utah. The federal court ruled that same-sex marriage is okay, and it became legal here in Utah. Utah made a third amendment to our state constitution years back, and it was to define marriage between a man and a woman, because we're so afraid that gay people might get married and be happy. Now that stood for years, oppressing us. We have quite a large LGBT community here in Utah, and they were all oppressed, all unhappy with the law, the law of the land, the Utah Constitution. Suit was brought, and a federal judge overturned that as unconstitutional. And for, I think it was 17 days, we saw, lines at the county courthouses and same-sex marriages happening, like crazy. What was beautiful about it is all the happy faces. Yet what did Utah do rather than accept that our one-party rule had guided us to create constitutional amendments that are unconstitutional? No, Utah decided to fight it more. They've spent nearly $3 million appealing and fighting that ruling, just so that marriage is only between a man and a woman. Now, to me, that's repulsive, because we're all people. We're all equal, and we all deserve the same rights and privileges that everyone else does. Last week, our governor stood up and gave a speech about how he was, going to continue to fight against equality. And he actually said that the people that choose to be gay are making a choice, and they don't deserve equality. Now, that kind of illustrates Utah's backwardness.
That is pretty backwards. I got to jump in here so we can pay our bills. And I am openly gay. People know that. And you're right. It's not a choice. It's DNA. And anybody who disagrees with that, we can have a conversation about that at some other point. But we got to pay our bills here at Time for Hemp.
You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. Please share us with your friends.
If you are in the Portland, Oregon area and are an OMMP cardholder, then come down to Nikki's Diggity Dank Market, Portland, Oregon's first and only weekly OMMP market, presented by the Alternative Wellness Center, located at 5241 Southeast 72nd Avenue, 2 blocks south of Foster Boulevard, close to public transportation, held every Sunday 10 a.m. till 7 p.m., connecting quality vendors with patients. Nikki's Diggity Dank Market also has a weekly raffle with products from every vendor, so come down to Nikki's Diggity Dank Market and have fun while connecting with quality vendors and getting great natural medicine. If you are a vendor and want a chance to connect with OMMP patients, you can check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/Alternative Wellness Center or call 971-888-4392. Be sure to register early because space is limited. Nikki's Diggity Dank Market.
In need of a ganja vacation? Blaze away at Hotbox Jamaica. Chill, relax, burn all day while watching the amazing ocean view. Listen to the birds. Bathe in the mineral waters of the Ganja River. Munch on tasty Jamaican Rasta food. Take a weed farm tour and hold a meditation. Book this amazing vacation for $420. Get the Sativa Special, 7 nights in Sativa dorms with ganja meals and airport transfer. Check us out at hotboxjamaica.com. That's hotboxjamaica.com. A Haya meditation vacation.
Indigrow is your source for affordable induction grow lighting. First discovered in 1891 by Nikola Tesla, Indigrow lights deliver 11 years of electronic sunlight to your plants. Indigrow lamps require less than half the power of traditional HID lamps. Converting to Indigrow lights means you'll cut down on your power bill with less lighting. Indigrow lamps also use 5 times less mercury than traditional fluorescent or HID lamps, making Indigrow not only energy efficient but environmentally friendly as well. No more switching out lamps between vegetative and flowering stages. As nature intended, your lights get a steady dose of UV light. That makes your plants grow healthier and stronger. Indigrow products are manufactured in San Diego, California, and come with a written 10-year warranty. What Tesla knew, then growers know now, is that Indigrow lighting is the cost-effective addition to your victory garden. To learn more or order now, go to inda-grow.com. That's INDA-GRO.com, or call 877-452-2244 to answer any of your questions. These guys really know lights. Indigrow really is your sunlight in a box.
Free? Did you say free? Free hemp? Free hemp? Free hemp video and audio? Free downloads of all the top artists, all the pot artists on planet Earth. Interviews with all the people making the movement, making the hemp movement. It's time for hemp. That's right, world. It's time for hemp. That's right, world. It's time for hemp.
Well, let's had a bowl, good green reefer, a big fat don't be much, much sweeter. Mighty don't hide it. Mighty don't hide it. Well, mighty don't hide it. Mighty don't hide it. Well, mighty don't hide it. Fire it up right now.
Yeah, fire it up right now. Light it, don't hide it. Let the whole world know that you're proud of it. I mean, it's really nonsensical. I don't understand. I read in the paper about like 485 trillion people in the world smoke marijuana, and then when we do these demonstrations and we ask people to show up for marches to help change laws, 9, maybe 15 people show up. It's like, what's wrong with this picture? I cannot believe that collectively we lack the backbone to stand up to a government entity making wrong decisions and saying, you got to turn your head around. We don't want this anymore. We need to start making jobs and creating profits in our community and underwriting the cost of proper crimes. And you ninnies who are doing this stupid stuff with the war on drugs. We can't put up with your nonsense anymore. You've got 4 years to turn it around, and if you don't, hey, you're voted out of office. You're not even allowed to run for office because we'll probably put you in jail for treason for destroying the planet and ruining our future. You bunch of ninnies. Well, that's my last rant for the day, and we are having a joint conversation today. Remember, anytime you hear the word joint on the big broadcast, nearly 2.5 million people or more pack their bongs, their pipes, their vaporizers, and puff, puff, past. Joint conversation with my joint host, Paul Stanford, and our joint guest, Bret Black, and I will pass this off to you jointly, gentlemen, while I enjoy my joint here at Time for Hemp. Paul?
Yes. So you're running for a libertarian, as a libertarian, in a race for the state rep in a suburb of Salt Lake City. Who are the Democrats and Republicans you're running against? Is it an open seat, or is it you're running against an incumbent?
The incumbent did not run, so there's a new Republican and a new Democrat, both in the same cookie-cutter form as the incumbent was before them.
What's the breakdown in the state house between Republicans and Democrats? And are there any libertarians that have been elected to office there?
There's never been a libertarian elected in Utah. The Republicans have, I believe, 77 seats, and the Democrats have 15.
That's not many. So what is your background? How did you come? So are you an attorney, or how did you come to throw your hat in the ring?
I am a former police officer. I have been in information technology and a businessman for the last 20 years since I left being a police officer. I'm just a father and a citizen that, I'm a grandpa now too, and that really. Hey, thank you. She's gorgeous, by the way. But when I held her and I looked at my son, and I think about the world I grew up in, and the world I raised my son in, and the world my little granddaughter's going to grow up in, I can't sit still or be quiet anymore. And no, I'm not an attorney. I wasn't formally educated to lie. I'm perfect to go to the legislature. Utah has been fighting this drug war zealously. It was the last state to legalize alcohol when Prohibition fell, and it was one of the first to jump on with Prohibition of marijuana. We've filled our jails and our courts, yet Salt Lake City Police Department alone has over 2,000 rape kits sitting in their evidence room rotting. We don't pursue real and violent criminals. We pursue people that we disagree with because of a social choice. And we bring guns.
It's really about money, isn't it? These policemen, now they get to get all the drug funds to come fund their departments, and so that's the one public side to the war on drugs, where the police department seizes money, and they often determine who they're going to prosecute based on their assets and equity and real property. But the other side that isn't talked about so much is the black market side, where they get it and they give it or sell it to their friends and other people and pad their wallets the other way, on both sides of the black market. So it just blends itself to corruption. There's no doubt about that. So you were in law enforcement against Prohibition, the group of former law enforcement officers who oppose drug prohibition. And so how many other, I know you can't, as a candidate now, you can't be associated with that nonprofit, but how many other elite members are there in Utah?
speakers, there's 2. Members, there are 2 LEAP speakers that are current. I know quite a few members, but I would seriously put that number under 300. You know, LEAP is a fabulous organization, but it hasn't. Utah is focused, and Utah is on its path, and anything that deviates from that path, the people don't listen to, or haven't up until now. The message is getting stronger.
So let me ask you, okay, if somebody wants to find out more about your campaign or donate any money, which is, as most of us know, the lifeblood of politics, you can't really do anything without money. The Supreme Court even said that's speech. You know, money is speech. So if somebody wants to get involved in the campaign, what can they do?
The best place to find me right now is on Facebook. I have an email. It's bblack, BBLACK, rep44, REP44, @yahoo.com. If you put that email address in Facebook, it'll pull you up to my personal page, and you can see my campaign page from there. I have a link to PayPal there. If you wish to contribute, contact me through email or through Facebook. I'll get with you and talk to you and make arrangements. I don't expect a big contribution from any individual.
Repeat that address. So you put your email address into Facebook, and they'll find your Facebook page. Is that what you said?
Yeah, and the email address is bblack, rep44, @yahoo.com.
Okay, so you put that in, and that'll pull that up. I'm trying to do that slowly as I hold the phone with one hand and the other one.
And we are down to the last couple of minutes. So, Bret, if you had, you got just 1 minute to convince the voters of your state to pull the lever for you.
Vote Libertarian in Utah. It's going to make a change. Every Libertarian on the ballot is looking out for the individual's rights, not for the state. I will go to the legislature, and I will not be bought. I'm not going to make friends. I'm going to enable change. Please support me.
And we look forward to having you back as a guest on the big broadcast before the election takes place. Paul, I know we got something on the ballot here that you want to mention to people about getting out, signing, getting active, and making a difference.
We have 2 initiatives in circulation. One's an Oregon constitutional amendment to amend Oregon's constitution to end cannabis prohibition. The other one is a statutory measure to legalize marijuana sales and regulate that. So people can get more information at hemp.org. That is a portal to all of our sites. You just go to HEMP.org. And then tomorrow night, Friday night, we have a television show. It's going to be a recorded show this time. My youngest son is graduating from high school tomorrow night, so we're not going to be in the studio, but we do have a recorded show, and we'll be back live next week. And Casper is my joint host. It's Cannabis Common Sense. It's live every Friday night. You can watch it on Ustream.tv on Friday night at 8 p.m. Pacific time. That's 11 p.m. Eastern time here in the United States. Adjust your watches and clocks or DVRs accordingly, and we'll be back live next week. Thanks, Casper. Nice to meet you, Bret. Good luck. I looked up your Facebook site. It took me a little bit, but it is facebook.com/Bret Black Rep44. So that's Bret Black Rep44.
Good luck in your race. Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
And I want to thank everybody out there for treating us like your favorite herb. That is sharing us and passing us around. That is how we are found. Again, we are the only all cannabis network on iHeartRadio. Later today, we got Judge James Gray doing a live broadcast at 4 o'clock. After that, we got the Cannabis View. Coming up next, Steve Danks broadcasting out of England, Manchester, England. And after his show, we got Mike Bafari and Morgiana Sativa broadcasting out of Argentina. And we want everybody out there to know how important it is to end prohibition. So please, please, please make it a point to tell all your friends about Time for Hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look now and take some time for hemp. And don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Oh, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rest. Well, right now it's time